How to make a festive wreath. The materials that you'll need are a wire frame, some fresh foliage gathered from your garden or a park, some scissors, a large handful of twigs, some binding wire, some decorative items such as dried orange slices, pine cones and acorns, a small handful of cloves, and some ribbon or string to hang it up. Step 1. Attach the binding wire to the wire frame and then pull it to one side. Then begin to place the twigs around the wire frame. It's easier if you do this in sections. A quarter of the frame at a time works quite well. So you're covering a quarter of the frame in sticks and then winding the wire around the sticks to secure them to the frame. And taking more sticks, you repeat this process until the whole of the frame is covered with sticks and secured tightly with the wire. Don't worry if some of the twigs stick out at angles, because the wire will secure these and you're able to pull them into the frame by adding a bit of pressure to the wire. So really the purpose of this is just to cover the frame and try to hide that metal underneath. So when you've got something that looks a bit like a bird's nest, you can tie the wire in a knot and pull it tightly to secure it. And trim the edge and tuck it in. Step 2, add in the foliage. So this is where you can channel any flower arranging skills you might have and play around with where the foliage might look nice around the frame. So one tip is it looks quite nice to balance your design, so repeating the same thing on each side. And it's also quite nice to gather leaves and foliage that smells nice, for example lavender or rosemary, to give your wreath a nice sensory element. As you go in and out your front door, you get a nice waft of herbs. So once you're happy with where you've placed everything, you can just move it to one side and then attach your binding wire to the frame again. Then it's quite useful to push the foliage into the sticks so that they're sort of semi-secured. So just one thing to note, because you're using fresh foliage, it might not last the whole winter, but a few tips to keep it looking fresh and alive are: number 1, keep it outdoors if possible, so on the front door of your house. Number 2, you could spray occasionally the foliage with some water. This will help to prolong its life. And number 3, you could even take out the foliage and replace it for a fresh one partway through the winter. So once you're happy with where everything is, you can wrap the whole frame again in wire to make sure the foliage is super secure. Step 3, add in the decorations. So the first thing that I've added there is called a dried lotus pod, if you want to purchase any of those. The two little orange round things are dried mini pumpkins. Then I've got some pine cones, some slices of orange which you could dry yourself in the oven on a very low temperature. But you can put anything on there for decorations, including things like baubles, little bits of tinsel, bows, even things that you've gathered from outside like thistles, or anything else that looks interesting really. So the next step then is to add some more wire. So adding a little bit of wire to each item and securing it on by twisting the wire together at the back. So keep twisting until it's nice and tight, and then find somewhere to tuck in the ends of the wire. And if you want to show off and make it extra special, you can add some cloves to the slices of dried fruits by just pushing them into the flesh of the fruits, and your wreath will smell like a delicious glass of mulled wine. And lastly, step 4, you'll need to add a bit of ribbon or string in a loop to the top of your frame so that you've got something to hang your wreath from. And I also decided to add a bow as well to just jazz it up a bit. Ta-da! Season's greetings!